Max, though just a pup, had always been filled with a zest for adventure and an insatiable curiosity about the world around him. But tonight was different. As the car pulled away, leaving only the hum of crickets and the twilight sky, Max's heart raced a little faster than usual. Never had he been alone in the big house before. Determined to be brave, Max did something he'd seen the family cat do 100 times. He perched himself on the window ledge to watch the world outside. The moon began to rise, casting shadows of the oak trees that loomed over the yard. Max felt a shiver run down his spine but shook it off. "I'm supposed to guard the house," he reminded himself. Just then, a sudden rustling made his ears perk up and tail stiffen. He bounced down to the floor, ready to investigate. With his little nose twitching, Max approached the back door. The noise wasn't anything more than the wind rustling through the fallen leaves. Max wagged his tail, proud of himself for checking. Deciding to patrol the rest of his domain, Max trotted confidently from room to room. Each room was filled with comforting smells of his family. As he entered the living room, the flicker of a street lamp outside caught his eye, casting playful shadows of dancing figures on the walls. Max imagined them as friends keeping him company, playing with him and sharing tales. Hour by hour, he bravely sat at his favorite spot on the porch, watching over his family's home. When the first strings of dawn light wove their way through the dark sky, Max felt tired but accomplished. He had not only kept himself composed through the night, but had learned that being alone wasn't as scary as it seemed. Hearing the familiar sound of the car approaching, Max's heart skipped a beat. Emily and her family were back. As they walked up the porch steps, Max greeted them with a wagging tail and a proud bark, as if to say, "I did it. I protected our home." Emily knelt down to his level and wrapped him in a warm hug. "I knew you could do it, Max," she said softly. Max beamed with pride and plopped down beside her, leaning his head onto her leg. For Max, saying goodbye had been the hardest part, but it also taught him one of life's most valuable lessons. Courage doesn't mean being fearless. It means facing the fear bravely. Max was a curious golden retriever with a nose for adventure. His family had left for the day, and this rare moment of solitude had sparked his curiosity. The house, usually filled with laughter and bustling activity, now lay silent, like a giant sleeping creature. Max flopped down onto the soft rug of the living room, pondering his next move. He could venture into territories uncharted, lands yet unexplored. The upstairs bedrooms. Gathering courage, Max bounded up the stairs, his paws pattering softly against the wooden steps. As he reached the top, he paused, his ears perked up, listening to the faint sounds of traffic outside and the gentle drumming of rain against the windows. He felt like an explorer, setting paw on new lands. Max trotted into the first bedroom, that of the youngest of the family, Lily. Her room was a colorful explosion of toys and plush animals, a world of imagination beyond his canine understanding. He nudged a tall teddy bear with his nose, which toppled into a heap, amusing him. But there was more to explore. Down the hall, the master bedroom's door was slightly ajar. Max nudged it open and pranced inside, finding himself gazing at a large, soft bed. He'd never been allowed on it before, but today it seemed like anything was possible. He leapt up, sinking into the plush comforters with a wiggle of delight. After a satisfying roll, Max resumed his exploration. He discovered the fascinating aroma of laundry from the hamper, the exotic, peppery scent of Dad's shoes, and a mysterious, almost otherworldly smell from the bathroom. Each scent told a story, a glimpse into the daily lives of his beloved humans. Feeling satisfied with his explorations, Max returned downstairs, where the soft ticking of the clock and his own company awaited. Though the house was empty, Max's adventures filled it with memories. As he cozied up in his doggy bed, he knew the family would soon return, bringing life and noise back to his quiet domain. But for now, he cherished the silence and his prized discoveries. Max was a little bear who had a coat as fluffy as winter snow and eyes that sparkled like stars. He lived in a cozy cottage with red shutters and a chimney that always puffed out swirls of smoke. But Max had a big worry. He was afraid of shadows. One night, the moon was particularly bright, casting its silver glow across the forest and into Max's room. It was the kind of night that made stories whisper through the leaves and shadows dance across walls. As Max snuggled into his bed, he noticed them again, dark shapes waltzing along his room's corners. Max's fur bristled, and his heart thudded like a little drummer. Among the shifting shadows, his imagination saw the shape of a looming monster with long arms and a twisted grin. It was just a shadow cast by the old rocking chair his grandma bear had left him. However, Max couldn't tell that in the dim light. Mustering up his courage, he gently slid out of bed, his tiny paws patting ever so quietly on the wooden floor. He crouched low, his eyes wide with determination, ready to confront the fearsome shadow. With a brave leap, Max pounced at the shadow, only to tumble through the air and land into quiet giggles of realization. The eerie monster was nothing more than the shadow of the curtain swaying in the gentle night's breeze. Phew, Max sighed, brushing off his fluff. His heart still thumped, but there was a triumph in each beat now, a victory over his frightful imagination. He scampered back to his bed, a little braver than before. Moonbeams still peeped through the windows, but now they seemed friendlier, like gentle fingers spreading warmth rather than shadows of fright. As Max lay back on his pillow, his fear of shadows was like a distant memory. He let out a soft, contented growl before drifting into dreams of moonlit adventures. That night, Max discovered that sometimes big worries are just little curtains dancing in the breeze. Max was a curious little corgi with a nose for adventure. Living in a cozy house filled with nooks and crannies, every day was a new journey waiting to unfold. One lazy afternoon, as the sun cast warm patches of light on the floor, Max lay dozing in his favorite spot by the window. Suddenly, a strange noise drifted in from the kitchen, and he was wide awake in an instant. His ears perked up, and his heart raced. What could it be? The sound was a faint thump. It certainly didn't belong in the quiet harmony of his home. His fur bristled with a mix of fear and excitement, a thrilling sensation that told him this was something worth investigating. Max crawled forward, his paws whispering against the hardwood floor, his movements sleek like a shadow. The hallway seemed longer than usual, stretching out in front of him like an endless mystery-filled tunnel. With each careful step, his mind raced with possibilities. Could it be a mischievous mouse, a sneaky burglar, or even a ghost? As he reached the kitchen door, Max gathered his courage and peeked around the corner. The kitchen lay in perfect order, as it always did after dinner. But then his eyes zeroed in on something unusual. There, lying on the floor with a metallic gleam, was a fallen pot lid. Relief washed over Max as he realized perhaps the wind had knocked it from its resting place, or it just rolled off its precarious perch. Feeling quite proud of himself for being the brave detective that he was, he let out a loud bark, not from alarm but from a triumphant victory over his imagination. The noise, once a formidable intruder in his thoughts, was reduced to mere kitchenware, no match for Max's bravery. Grinning to himself at the adventure hidden within the ordinary, he felt certain that even the smallest of explorers have the power to solve big mysteries. The fallen pot lid, though no burglar or ghost, was today's grand tale of heroism, a story Max would surely tell his human with a wag of his fluffy tail. This is a story about Max, a little brown dog, whose fluffy fur and bright eyes made everyone smile. Max lived with his kind-hearted owner, Emily, in a cozy little house by the edge of a big, enchanting forest. Emily was Max's best friend, and they did everything together, from watching sunsets to going on exciting forest adventures. Max had always been a brave pup, facing each day with joyful enthusiasm. However, one day, a loud thunderstorm hit their town. Dark clouds covered the sky, and thunder roared like 100 lions. Poor Max was scared. His little heart raced, and he found himself shaking like a leaf. Seeing his fear, Emily knelt beside him, placing a gentle hand on his head. "If you're scared, Max, take deep breaths and think of happy things," she whispered softly. Max always loved the way Emily made everything better, so he listened closely. He sat down, closed his eyes, and took a deep, calming breath, in and out, just like Emily taught him. As he inhaled, he recalled the delightful moments that made his tail wag, the times Emily scratched behind his ears, his favorite treat of peanut butter biscuits, and the long, sunny afternoons they spent chasing butterflies in the meadow. He imagined the warm cuddles he received from Emily every morning and the soft lullabies she sung at bedtime. Slowly, the thunder seemed to fade away, not because it stopped, but because Max was no longer letting it in. His thoughts painted a world where only happiness danced around him, and the world outside was just a part of a distant dream. With each memory, the storm cloud inside him began to dissolve, replaced by the sunshine of his past adventures. In that moment, Max realized he was braver than he thought, thanks to Emily's comforting words and the happy memories they shared. And so, after a few more deep breaths, he felt content, his fears washed away by the power of love and companionship. With a little wag of his tail, Max joined Emily on the couch, snuggling close, knowing that as long as he had Emily's wise words and happy thoughts, any storm could be weathered together. He had remembered his training well and was proud. Max, a scruffy little terrier with a knack for sniffing out trouble, was just exploring the hallways of his apartment building on an ordinary afternoon. Max loved his home, but he also loved a good adventure just as much. As he trotted down the corridor, his sharp ears picked up a strange sound, a soft, gentle meow. Curious, Max tilted his head to one side and followed the noise. His beady eyes soon met a pair of glowing green eyes hidden in the shadows at the end of the hallway. Emerging from the darkness was Luna, the neighbor's sleek and mysterious black cat. Luna was known around the building for her adventurous spirit and uncanny ability to appear in places she shouldn't be. Today, she had managed to sneak right into Max's world. "What are you doing here?" Max barked, his tail wagging in a gentle rhythm. He wasn't angry, just surprised to find the feline visitor on his turf. Luna didn't say a word. She only responded with a soft, musical purr. Despite Max's gruff voice, he was known for his friendly nature, and Luna sensed that there was no danger. With a graceful leap, she landed closer to Max, her whiskers twitching with curiosity. Max was unsure at first. For as long as he'd known, cats and dogs were supposed to be like oil and water. And yet here was Luna, unfazed by the supposed animosity their species were known for. Luna gave a delightful little meow, as if inviting Max to accept her presence. The terrier hesitated, then tumbled into a playful bow, his front paws stretched forward, and a gleeful bark escaping his mouth. Understanding this universal sign for play, Luna's eyes sparkled with excitement. What started as an unusual encounter in the hallway quickly transformed into a happy game of hide and seek. The two new friends scampered up and down the corridor. Laughter echoed as Luna pounced playfully and Max chased her shadow. From that day on, the hallway was no longer just home to a lonely terrier on his afternoon patrols. Max had found a new friend in Luna, and together, their newfound friendship brought lively adventures and heartwarming moments to the old, quiet building. It turned out sometimes, the most unexpected meetings could lead to the best of friendships. Max, a lively golden retriever, was initially apprehensive when Luna, the agile Siamese cat, moved into his home. Luna was graceful, elegant, and a little mischievous, curling her tail in a way that challenged Max's sensibilities. Max had always been the king of his castle, a warm bungalow filled with chew toys, soft couches, and the unmistakable scent of his favorite treats. But now, with Luna's arrival, everything seemed different. At first, Max viewed Luna as an intruder, an adversary ready to steal his toys or claim his best napping spots. He barked in protest whenever she slinked by, her sapphire blue eyes gleaming with a hint of teasing. Luna wasn't particularly bothered by Max's barking. She actually found it amusing. Each bark was like a cheerleading squad to Luna, encouraging her to leap higher or venture further into unexplored shelf territories. One rainy afternoon, as the sky rumbled and the rain pattered against the windows, Max noticed Luna curiously inspecting a houseplant high on a shelf. Curious and bored, Max decided to watch. Luna, with paws as soft as clouds, was sashaying around the plant, trying to balance herself. Max's tail thumped against the floor with an involuntary wag of excitement. As Luna leapt gracefully from a shelf to the top of the bookcase, she accidentally nudged the plant, sending it teetering over the edge. It fell with a soft thud onto the carpet below, soil spilling everywhere. Instead of being alarmed, Max found this rather entertaining, and his bark rang through the house like laughter. Luna paused and looked back at Max with wide eyes, expecting him to chase her away or alert their human friend. Instead, she found his eyes gleaming with an understanding she hadn't expected: approval. Slowly, a bond formed between the two unlikely friends. Luna explored with Max at her side. They peeked behind curtains, darting in and out of rooms. Together, they navigated the house as a daring duo of curiosity and adventure. Max chased Luna up and down the hall, and Luna granted Max access to her high-perched queendoms, making the world from up high feel welcoming. As days went by, the once strange and silent house was filled with the playful chaos of Max and Luna. The team of Bark and Purr turned their home into a world of fun and exploration. Every nook had a secret, and every jump led to giggles or barks of delight. And so, Max and Luna's adventures continued, as together they discovered that the best explorations were those shared with a friend. In the small and cozy neighborhood of Willow Creek, two loyal friends lived in the Smith household. Max, a brave and boisterous Labrador, and Luna, a graceful and wise tabby cat, shared more than their home. They shared adventures and misadventures alike. One stormy afternoon, as the wind howled and the dark clouds roamed across the sky, the air was tense around the house. Mrs. Smith was busy baking, lost in the aroma of freshly baked cookies, while the children were upstairs, indulged in their games. Meanwhile, Max and Luna lay in the living room, basking in the warmth of the fire that crackled in the hearth, its lively dance reflected in Luna's thoughtful green eyes. Suddenly, without warning, a strong gust of wind swept through the yard, bursting the back door open. Startled, Max's ears perked up, and his heart thumped wildly in his chest. Luna, always the calm one, sat up with her tail neatly wrapped around her paws, but there was a glimmer of alertness in her gaze. Max, sensing looming danger and sensing his instinctual duty, leapt up, his paws thudding against the wooden floor. With his ears back and his chest puffed with courage, he dashed to the offending door, barking fiercely at the unseen monster, the wind. He reached the door, sniffing and investigating its stubborn sneer as it flapped slightly in its hinges. With a determined nudge of his strong black nose, Max managed to close it securely, sealing off the threat with a satisfying click of the latch. Luna watched from afar, but didn't stay idle. She gracefully approached Max, a soft purr rolling in her throat, and rubbed her head against his shoulder. Her approving flick of the tail was the feline way of saying, "Well done, brave friend." Max wagged his tail in a proud, rhythmic thump against the floor, basking in the praise. Peace returned to the Smith household as the gentle patter of raindrops began their lullaby on the windows. Mrs. Smith remarked to one of the children, "I swear our Max is the best guard for any unexpected guest, even if it's just the wind." Life at Willow Creek continued with episodes of noble acts and everyday adventures, woven seamlessly like a tapestry crafted by the bonds of friendship and bravery. Max the cat and Luna the wise old owl were best friends living in a cozy little cottage at the edge of Whisker Woods. They were a seemingly unlikely duo, but their friendship was as strong as the sturdy oak tree that stood outside their window. Together, they'd gone on countless adventures, exploring the mysteries hidden within the forest. One day, Max heard a rumor from Whiskers the squirrel that a mischievous raccoon, known for its clever tricks, was back in the woods. This raccoon was rumored to sneak into cottages to steal shiny objects and food, sending jitters through the peaceful community. Luna, being the more experienced, suggested they set up a little watch and take turns keeping an eye out for the rascal. Max, however, was both curious and a little frightened. He had never guarded the cottage before and was nervous about facing the tricky raccoon. That evening, with the moon illuminating the night, Max stationed himself by the window, his eyes wide and his ears perked. Every rustle of the leaves kept him on high alert. Luna patiently watched over him, reassuring Max that he was brave and capable. Hours ticked by, and just when Max's eyes were beginning to droop, he heard a soft scratching at the door. His heart raced, but he remembered Luna's encouraging words. Summoning his courage, he opened the door cautiously. To his surprise, the raccoon stood there, looking rather bashful. It had sprained its paw and tumbled down a bank while trying to reach a shiny pebble by the creek. Seeing its plight, Max's heart softened, replacing fear with empathy. With Luna's guidance, they helped the raccoon, who introduced itself as Little Rascal. Grateful for their kindness and in finding true friends, Rascal promised to keep the shiny objects safe instead of stealing them. With the door secured and their adventure over, Max and Luna curled up on the couch together. Max felt his heart swelling with pride. He had faced his fears and not only kept the house safe, but also earned a new friend in the process. Settling down under the starlit sky, with dreams of more adventures to come, Max felt braver than ever before. Once upon a time, in a cozy little house at the edge of a bustling town, lived a courageous puppy named Max and his best friend, a curious cat named Luna. Max, with his soft, fluffy fur and bright eyes, always dreamed of being a brave protector, while Luna loved exploring her home. One day, as the family that loved them dearly was packing for a short trip, they asked Max and Luna to take care of the house while they were gone. Max's heart leapt with excitement. Finally, he could prove himself as a brave protector. Luna, ever the adventurer, was thrilled at the thought of exploring every corner with her best friend. As the family waved goodbye, Max and Luna jumped into action. Max strutted through the rooms on patrol, sniffing at every corner, while Luna zigzagged ahead. "We'll keep the house safe and sound," Max declared with a bark. The sun began to set, painting the whole house with warm golden hues. Max and Luna sat by the window, watching the sky turn to twinkling shades of purple and blue. Suddenly, a rustling noise came from the backyard. Max's ears perked up, and Luna's eyes lit with curiosity. "Did you hear that?" Max whispered, feeling both excited and a little scared. With Luna leading the way, they tiptoed outside to investigate. There, amongst the garden flowers, They found the source of the sound, a playful family of squirrels having a nighttime feast with the acorns. Max sighed in relief while Luna amusedly watched the squirrels scamper about.
See?
Just some friendly visitors. Luna purred. Feeling proud and a bit more relaxed, Max lay down in his favorite snuggly spot in the living room, and Luna curled up next to him. The moonlight turned the room into a gentle wonderland as Max drifted into dreams, feeling a sense of accomplishment. When the family returned early the next morning, they found Max and Luna snuggled up, fast asleep. Emily, the youngest member of the family, scooped Max into her arms. "You're so brave, Max," she whispered, while Luna purred around her feet. Max's tail wagged happily as he drifted back to another dreamy adventure, dreaming of his successful night as the protector of the house. And so, the tale of brave Max and adventurous Luna continued, knowing their simple acts of courage would lead to more adventures. And they all lived happily ever after.
The end.